Good morning. Let's see if this one takes here, because the first time I did it, it did not record. And it looks like this one already is, so we're already in a better shape for here. Good afternoon, good morning. My name is Harry, host of United Soccer FC. And today we are doing the MLS power rankings, going over a little bit of week one from MLS. Coming up tomorrow, we'll be doing USL, which is probably my cup of tea for it here. It's the league my team's in and I follow, but covering soccer here in the United States, I want to try to do a little bit more content across MLS, USL, both Championship League One as well as NISA for that here. So as NISA and USL get closer, and I may dabble in on MLS next as well. Let's try to see how that goes here. But just kind of a quick recap of what happened in week one of MLS. It kicked off with Philadelphia and Minnesota United, a 1-1 draw. Looking at the XGs, pretty truthful. When I watched the game, it was a pretty even game for that here. Next up, LAFC rocked the Rapids 3-0. XG also kind of correlates, 2 to 0.5 for that here. Next up, the Crew defeated Vancouver 4-0. Convincing. It really wasn't much to talk about on that game. FC Dallas, Toronto FC, 1-1. I think Dallas was the better team, had some chances, especially early in the game, that they should have put away. I think if they would have got that second goal before Toronto did for it here, especially first half, second half, just, it was a pretty even game, no clear chances. New York Red Bulls go on the road, get a 3-1 convincing win over San Jose. To me, the game I was looking to, Austin FC and Cincinnati, see if Cincinnati's improved like I thought they were, and to see if Austin FC made a step up or if they kind of kept the same. At least game one, I got to give it all to Austin FC. 5-0 win, wasn't even that close. XG says it was a little bit closer, and especially early on, Cincinnati had some chances, a little bit unlucky, especially on that first goal from Austin. For that here, but Austin FC walked away in front of a rocking crowd at Q2. The first of the 0-0 draws, Inter Miami, Chicago Fire. XGs were 1.5 on each. I don't know if that's kind of a true reflection. I know, that's analytics for that here. DC United, got a convincing win over Charlotte. I think Charlotte probably fans feel a little bit hard off, on the PK that got the goal started along those lines. And then, but they convinced. If you're looking at XG on this next one, Timbers had 2.5. New England Revolution 0.08. So you'd have thought New England would have won, but no, it was a 2-2 draw along those lines here. I watched the game, pretty even game here. But, like I said here, very, very entertaining along those lines here. Looking at, at the scoring in the 41st minute, New England got their goal. Esparella from Portland tied it at, in the 60th. Sebastian Lletget got the 2-1 lead, in the 63rd, and then Yimi Chara, equaled it in the 78th minute for that here. Hard to say here, but I thought even though the XG doesn't really tell a story, I thought it was a pretty even game and a fair result where it ended at 2-2 along those lines here. Looking at after that match here, you had on Sunday, Orlando City 2-0 win over Montreal. You had Atlanta United a 3-1 win over Sporting Kansas City. Game probably a little bit closer than what the XG says, 2.2 to 0.9. I know Atlanta United controlled the game, so I guess probably pretty fair for that here. Probably in the best match of the day, LA Galaxy got a 1-0 win over New York City late. I'm looking at the XG 1.8 to 0.08, but I thought it was a fair. I thought New York City would have walked away with the tie, but they did get the Galaxy got it right at the end of the 90th minute, but before extra time started here. Dynamo, Real Salt Lake, XG 0.05 or 0.5, Real Salt Lake 0.3, 0-0. When you look at the stats, it's one of those games where the stats don't tell the story. The Dynamo controlled the possession, but they didn't really do anything with the possession. There was no purpose with the possession. Like I said here, it's a game that I think last year Dynamo find a way to lose. This year they controlled the match, but I think the bigger story for the Dynamo this week is Hector Herrera is going to be coming in the summer. I think it'll help with getting butts in the seats. I've already seen some some more season ticket members popping up on social media for the Dynamo, so it's good for the Dynamo. The result's not good. This is a game that they should have won. For here, and in the nightcap, you had Nashville going on the road to Seattle, eking out a 1-0 win. Late goals once again through there here. It looks like I think it was the 80th minute by Annabelle Goody, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name. For that here, looking at the XG 0.6, 0.8 for vice versa, so it was a close match along those lines here. So let's get into the MLS rankings here. For that here that I've created here. A lot of this is just on my gut. Some of it's looking at the stats. A lot of it's on performance for that here. I do note there is an error in one of the slides for that here, so I do apologize about it. Starting out, sorry Cincinnati fans, you lose 5-0 to Austin. Wasn't there's nowhere to go. You had to be the worst team. If I did the entire league, I don't know if you'd be ahead of San Jose. I'll just leave it at that. Like I said here, I don't a lot of work to do. Charlotte, who I do think that will over the long run end up be the silver spoon or the wooden spoon winner. Pardon me. 3-0 loss to DC United, but like I said here, and Cincinnati, you're at a different level. Montreal lost, for that here, so I have them down the third spot here. 2-0 lost to Orlando City. I just don't think they're a good team. I think they're above Charlotte and Cincinnati, but I don't know by how much. 10 and 11. I have Miami and Chicago Fire, and this is where I have the error in the slide for that here. To me, like I said here, both teams had a 0-0 score. Both teams didn't really do anything. Both teams underperformed. I just don't know how good either team is for that here. So to me, like I said here, I'm going to go 10th and 11 for there. Number 9, Toronto had a tough draw away in FC Dallas. Probably should have lost, but did get hold on to get a draw away against who I think will be a playoff team. So like I said here through there, and I know they got help coming in the second half. So can they stay competitive? The first half of the season is the question. Number 8, DC United. For here, they're the first team that has got the win. Maybe should have them a little bit higher, but I just don't know how you bump some of the other teams. They did get the win against Charlotte. So how much do you actually throw into that? And we'll find out this week on how good that they are. Red Bulls 2, or probably not Red Bulls 2. You can tell my USL here. New York Red Bulls. Went on the road to San Jose. San Jose is one of those teams. If they make a coaching change sooner, you're gonna see better results. But right now, with the coach that they have, the performance here, I'm not sure how it's a quality away win, which is what you have to do. And when you look at the XG, they bossed the game. So for 7, Orlando City, they had the best win out of these 3 here over Montreal for that here. For that here. So you got to give them credit for that here. It's a home win. Columbus Crew have 5th in the East for here. They beat Vancouver. They were, they won the title 2 years ago, missed the playoffs last year. I look for them to rebound this year here for that here, but they took care of business at home, which is what you need to do. New York City, I know they lost. Still going to hold them at 4th because they lost late, at the 90th minute on the road against a decent Galaxy team. So I'm not going to penalize them too much. But this week, you got to step up and show me, or you will start to slide down. Union draw against the tough Minnesota United team. When you look at it, it was a pretty even game for that here. But the Union are one of those tough teams that they're a solid team. They're not flashy, but you keep wanting more. New England Revolution, they escaped Portland. Probably, when you look at the game, they're probably fairly lucky to escape. But yet, it's one of those things. The eye test versus the numbers on the pitch. Eye test that they got the job done. That they were lead. You got to kind of wonder. Giving up the 2 goals, being ahead here, if that's going to be an oncoming trend, or if it's just playing Portland for that here. Number 1 team, Atlanta United. I think they had the best win out of the East for that here, where they beat a solid Kansas City team here, 3-1. So they claim the top spot in the East for me at this time. Out West, Vancouver 4-0 to the Crew on the road. 0.03, wasn't even in it. It was an ugly game from Vancouver. Like I said here, there's not much to say. San Jose, like I said here, if I was picking a wooden spoon for the West, at this point, I think that would be them, as I mentioned earlier. I do think if they got a new manager, change in management, I think that's going to help them. And I know it's kind of weird saying that, but the manager doesn't want to be there. It's 1 game in. This is a train wreck. It's not going to work. It's just a matter of how long does San Jose want to continue with the circus. Number 12 and number 11, Real Salt Lake, Houston Dynamo. Just like with Inter Miami and Chicago Fire, I don't think either one of these teams are good. This was a tough watch. Even if Dynamo fans and Real Salt Lake fans had to think it was. To me, my criticism of the Dynamo, they controlled the game with the possession, but they didn't do anything with it. There was a lot of passing around the midfield, trying to work its way through, but they lacked identity to be able to go forward with a plan to be able to attack. We're going to find out this week against Kansas City if that's something that they've worked on. But like I said, for the Dynamo, they've got the Hector Herrera coming on in July when the next window opens, so that should hopefully boost them up. Number 10, the Rapids. I'm probably harder on the Rapids than most people. To be fair, I grew up in Colorado, so I've seen this story before where they'll have a good year and then the next year or two they'll suffer. They gave up a lot of talent, and it showed. They got rolled by LAFC, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but 0.05 as far as the XG, it was a game they weren't in for that here. Portland Timbers, they got a draw. I know when you look at the XG numbers, it says that they outperformed New England. I thought it was an even game for it here. In fact, Timbers were lucky to get away with the draw here if you're following the score line here. I just don't know how the drama outside of it, with the supporter groups and stuff is going to affect the Timbers. So it's kind of wait and see. This is a team that, if they could start putting together some results, could go up the power rankings pretty easily compared to the, bottom 5 that I have in here. Austin FC, if you followed last week, I had you at the bottom, 14th with that win and the convincing win. And that's the other thing. It's if you watch the game, if you look at the XG, it's probably not as convincing as the 5-0 result, but there was a lot of improvement. And you can see the growth from year 1 to year 2 for Austin FC. Plus Q2 with the Anthem, Austin Anthem, and Los Verdes. Going to be a tough place to play. They get Inter Miami this week here. If they can get another win through here, if they don't get a win, we could start to see them slide back down. But Austin FC is one of those teams that I might have undervalued a little bit. Maybe my little bit SAFC blindness when it comes to Austin FC is showing here. But I moved them up to 8th there because they did have the most convincing win of the year, of the week last year. FC Dallas, I had them in a playoff spot. Still got them in a playoff spot. They drew, they drew Toronto in a game that they probably should have won, especially if you watch that first half of the FC Dallas Toronto match. They really controlled it. A little bit unlucky that they didn't get the win. Second half, though, they didn't do anything. So that's why they're at 7. 6 Minnesota went on the road. Drew 1-1 against a solid Union team, Philadelphia Union. Even game, like I said here, it's hard to fault them. Sporting Kansas City went on the road to Atlanta, which is a tough place to play. Did lose, came back. They were down 2-0, got a goal. Atlanta came back and put you got the deciding goal to put them up 3-1. But Sporting Kansas City was in this game. Just a tough match. They get the Dynamo this week, so if they can win, if not, they'll probably slide down. Galaxy got a well-earned win, even though it was right at the death there at the 90th minute over New York City FC. So I got them at the 4th slot here. Seattle Sounders got, even though they lost at home against Nashville, pretty even game, tough match against probably 2 of the elite teams in the West and to me in MLS overall. So no shame in losing 1-0, late goal given up, but in the second, 80th minute, I believe. Let me just check here. 80th minute that they gave up the winning goal to Nashville. LAFC, if this is the Carlos Vela of 2020, watch out. He got a hat trick to start. It was against the Rapids, which is a solid team, especially defensively and midfield-wise for that here. But, like I said here, it was at home. They got on a roll. If Carlos Vela is back to what he was, I know he had some injuries last year for that here, so it'll be interesting. I'm not sure how much weight I put towards Colorado for it here. But to me, the class, Nashville, who was my pick to win the MLS overall this year for that here. So I think, that they got a solid road win for that here. So just kind of give you a heads up of what's going to happen this week here. You have kicking off here very shortly, New England versus Dallas, followed by Toronto Red Bulls, Sporting Kansas City Dynamo. So this one I'm kind of interested to see, hey, can the Dynamo continue with the possession? Sporting Kansas City, these are 2 teams that don't like each other, which you wouldn't really think. Montreal, Philadelphia, the Crew, can they capitalize on the bad teams in the West out in San Jose? Same with New York City. Can they capitalize on a bad Vancouver team to kind of rebound? Real Salt Lake opens up at home, which is a tough place to play. Seattle, but I expect Seattle to walk away. Rapids open up at home. I know if you like to bet a couple of nickels on here, Atlanta's actually the underdog. I don't get that. I think Atlanta actually gets a multi-goal win in Colorado. Chicago, Orlando City for it here. Kicking off. Minnesota United, Nashville, probably one of the best matches of the week here for that, especially for Saturday matches. Can Nashville go on the road and beat another playoff quality team? That'll be determined. Cincinnati, DC United. You got to step up, Cincinnati. Home opener. You got embarrassed last week. You got to be better. There's no excuse. And in the match, Charlotte FC opens up at home at Bank of America Stadium. Be kind of interesting to see how that looks. There's going to be 74,000 people, 74,000 fans there. Galaxy travel well. I'm not a fan of the NFL stadiums, although you got it at Soldier Field, you got Seattle's is a football field as well here, so better than Yankee Stadium by all means, but that'll be interesting. Sunday, you've got Austin FC hosting Inter Miami. Austin FC, you can get those 3 points, so it's going to set you well on the way and avoid finishing last. I have a feeling and making me look silly for that here. And then the other prime matchup of the week, Timbers visits LAFC. We're going to find out if LAFC is for real. I have a feeling here. In Timbers, tough matches to start the season for that here, but that'll be it for week one recap, power rankings for the week one action, and a quick look at week two. Like I said, I will try to get these out much earlier on here. Just unfortunately for this week was a little crazy, but hope everyone has a wonderful day, good week, and enjoy your soccer.